Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Friday, June 7th, 2024. We're taking a trip back in time to Mackinac Island in Upper Michigan. It's a place known for its interesting history, beautiful architecture, and horse-drawn carriages. And in Georgia, these women gather weekly to deepen spiritual connections and anchor the light on our planet, all in the name of friendship. You may have discovered your natural gifts, but how can you monetize those gifts so you can do more of what you love? We've got some great ideas. A recent investigation suggests UK residents may have significant health risks from lead contamination found in the food. Levels are 10 times higher than what's recommended. And the FDA in the U.S. reverses a controversial ban on a popular brand of e-cigarettes. But why?
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Visiting Mackinac Island is like stepping back in time to a picturesque and tranquil world. The island is renowned for its charming Victorian architecture, horse-drawn carriages, and breathtaking natural beauty. UNN Field Messenger Diane takes us on a tour of this captivating destination.
Hi, this is Diane, Field Messenger for United Network News. Today, we're in northern Michigan on Mackinac Island, home of horse taxis and the Grand Hotel, and some of the best fudge you've ever had. So come with me. Let's tour the island and see what she has to offer.
Our journey begins on Michigan's mainland in Mackinac City or St. Ignace to board a ferry for a 15-minute ride to the island. From the moment you step onto Main Street, you will be immersed in the quaintness and charm of Mackinac Island with all of the shops, restaurants, the sound of horses making their way down the street, and the smell of fresh fudge being made.
If you notice, with all the horses and carriages that are here on the island, there are no motorized vehicles allowed except for emergency vehicles that are here on the island. So your modes of transportation are walking, bicycling, taking the horse-drawn carriages, and then just enjoying this beautiful island. It's just a little over 8 miles in circumference, so it's a great way to go ahead and take a nice long stroll. Remember to wear great shoes. Have a good time.
Fort Mackinac is full of history as it was an active military outpost from 1780 to 1895. The walk up to the fort to take the guided tour, which includes cannon and rifle demonstrations, is worth the climb. You can enjoy the fantastic views of Lake Huron and the island from there. And of course, the magnificent Grand Hotel, with the world's longest front porch that opened its doors in 1887. The beautiful decor inside continues to be unique to the hotel. And if you didn't know, the 1980s film Somewhere in Time was filmed in and around the hotel and is showcased there. It's a wonderful place to stay.
Again, thank you for watching. I'm Diane, Field Messenger for United Network News.
Next, we explore the journey of a group of women who gather weekly to enhance self-awareness and deepen their spiritual connections. Together, they aim to anchor divine light on the planet, creating a ripple effect of positivity and enlightenment. UNN Field Messenger Claudia shares their inspiring journey.
Field Messenger Claudia, reporting for UNN from Dawsonville, Georgia. So we are here with Sandra, and she's the host of this lovely gathering, and she's gonna tell us the story of how it came about. Hello, Sandra. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, my name is Sandra Loggins, and we have a little gathering every Monday morning. We call it Sacred Circle, and the thrust of the meeting is spiritually meaningful dialogue. I want to know who you are by your spiritual awareness and what your soul is longing for. And I want to know my friends at that level. My life is easy, for God is ruling my day. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. I have faith in the eternal goodness of God and of man.
I hope you enjoyed the report. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Marky from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
As part of the new Earth, humanity is learning to embrace their natural, God-given gifts. Your gift is that spark within you that excites you and benefits others as well. Grace Gravestock is a transformation maverick. She is on a mission to redefine success and fulfillment, allowing people to resonate at their highest frequency. Today, Grace has some great advice on different ways you can monetize your gifts so you can do more of what you love. So Grace is joining us again, and Grace, we're talking about our gifts, but more importantly, perhaps because we still live in this 3D world, we have to make money to be able to do the things that we need to do in life. And sometimes I feel like there's a disconnect. Like someone may want to do something, like let's just say they're an artist. They love to draw. They love to do something artistic. But, you know, sometimes it's hard to make money doing that. And so that may be holding us back from doing the things that we're really skilled at and that we love to do. So how do we monetize our gifts?
That's a great question, Sunny. I'm so glad you asked. You know, it reminds me of my sister. She is an artist, since you mentioned artists, and so
I picked up on that.
Right? Yeah. You probably read my mind.
Telepathically.
That's it. So I was telling her about my process. I think I shared it with you in an earlier episode. ActivateYourLifePurpose.com is where you can get that gratitude practice. Anyway, I had her do that, and she called me one day, and she was so excited. She's like, "You will never guess the job that I got." She said, "I get to sit out in the woods and get paid to do art." So she has her little packet of all of her colored pens and all her pens. Yeah. She's like, I'm a guide for the park system, and I just sit out here and wait for people to walk by, and I answer their questions, but most of the time I'm just sitting here doing my art.
Oh my gosh. How perfect.
I know. And so I think that's one of the most fun stories. And I have a lot of them. You know, ActivateYourLifePurpose.com is where I give that process that I gave to her. But there's really 3 pieces to it that I like to share. The secret to monetizing your gifts. So first of all, find out who you are and what gifts are actually yours. Let me tell you what I mean by this. So, I always talk about finding out who you are in terms of human design. So what'smychart.com, we talked about that once before. If you understand who you really are, then it's really some key indicators there about what you're actually here to be and do. So you want to be to monetize your gifts, first of all, you want to know what is actually yours versus what you think is yours. I'll give you a quick example in that. So I grew up going door to door, knocking. I mean, and I know people hate door to door salesmen. I did not know that when I was growing up.
I was a telemarketer, so it's all good. Yeah,
that's so funny. I feel like we have so much in common, Sunny. So I thought that was normal, and I thought, because my dad did it, right? And he had us going door to door from being kids. We were selling the Sack Lunch cookbook. So I thought that I was going to be good at sales, and I thought that was my thing. But when I learned about my human design, I realized that I'm not meant to initiate. I'm actually meant to wait for something to respond to, and that I'm here to be a builder, actually an express builder. And so that is it's different than being an initiator, right? And so the first thing is, if you want to monetize your gifts, you have to know what is yours and what is I'm going to say borrowed. And what I talk about that in terms of is conditioning and programming. So we pick up a lot of stuff from our family of origin, from our community, from the religious systems where we came from, whatever. And we think that we are something. And when we can find out eventually, maybe through human design or some other tool, that that's not actually us. And we're going to monetize our gifts when we let go of, I see it as barnacles in my mind, like, you know, cut off those barnacles and be free to soar the way we are. And so when we know who we really are, that's the first step to monetizing our gifts, because then we can know what are our gifts versus what are things that we thought were our gifts that really aren't, like me as doing sales. It's not my thing. So the second thing is, and this is really important, this is probably the key thing. If you don't get anything else, get this. So we have to believe in ourselves and our own value. And our own value comes from our own level of self-love. And so if what I learned the hard way is that if we don't have much self-love, and I've met a lot of people that have a lot of self-loathing, I've been really surprised to see it's not that uncommon. So we have to work on our own self-love. And so I always say, know yourself. Again, you know, plug for human design because I love it. But anyway, know who you really are. Because when you know who you are, then you can love who you are. And it's only when you love who you are that you're going to be motivated to practice self-care. And when you practice self-care, what that means is you're honoring yourself, and it's that level of energy that you're sending out into the universe that you're able to receive. So when we talk about monetizing our gifts, what we're talking about is how much worth what am I worthy of? But if we don't believe we're worthy, guess what? We're not going to be seen as worthy. So we have to believe in ourselves, and we have to honor ourselves with the time that it takes to do our own self-care, for example. That's an indicator, right? Yeah. So that's the key thing. Believe in yourself and see your own value, because life is a mirror for us. And then the last thing is get creative and step out in faith. If anyone's seen this, if you've seen The Secret, you remember that the key is to take inspired action. We don't have to be super busy doing everything that comes to us, because we can never do all that, right? It's just too much busyness. But when we take a moment to really go within and listen to what our inner guidance system is telling us, and we watch the signs of what's showing up in our world, we can listen to for most of us, it's our gut to give us a yes or no on something, and then we step out in faith. We have to take action. I say that because I can't tell you how many coaches and healers that I've talked to that are not living in abundance, but part of the reason is they're not doing anything about it. They're just waiting for it to just fall out of the sky, and life doesn't work like that, right? So that's the secret to monetizing your gifts. Find out who you are and what gifts are yours. Believe in yourself and your own value, because life is a mirror, and then get creative in how you're going to move forward in a way that's in alignment with you, and take inspired action.
In Peru, the Coalition of Neurodivergent People is transforming the lives of those with autism and ADHD. This group raises awareness about neurodivergent needs and offers community support. The coalition bridges the gap between seeing autism as a disease and embracing it as a different way of life. The group's efforts include community picnics, day trips, workshops, and group activities. It is helping individuals develop social skills and find new ways of learning. With more than 12,000 participants in their WhatsApp groups, CNP provides advice and support for those facing neurodivergent challenges. Looking ahead, the group aims to establish a house dedicated to their cause. It will offer such things as legal advice, workshops, mindfulness sessions, and temporary housing. This space would serve as a safe haven for neurodivergent individuals and their families, ensuring a more understanding community. In Tanzania, the School of St. Jude was founded to provide free quality education to local students. Starting with one student in 2002, the school now supports 1,800 primary and secondary students, many from disadvantaged backgrounds. Inspired by the AIDS crisis, which left many children orphaned and unable to pay school fees, the school receives more than 90% of its funding from Australian donors. The school now operates 3 campuses and supports hundreds of students to access higher education in other countries. Through scholarships, St. Jude's is able to help students achieve their goals beyond secondary education. Many students return home after their education to contribute to their community. The school is playing a crucial role in nurturing future leaders, doctors, educators, and visionaries in the young people of Tanzania and beyond. An international movement called Right to Be is empowering bystanders to safely intervene in public conflicts or harassment. The group advocates for everyone's right to be themselves anywhere in a compassionate world. They offer free training to help people reduce conflict and assist those experiencing bullying, harassment, or discrimination. The program teaches 5 safe intervention methods: distract, delegate, document, delay, and direct. These techniques support victims and show others that they too can make their community safer. The Right to Be website provides details on free training, tips for safe responses, and a platform for victims to share their stories and find support. More than 500,000 people have received training. This initiative proves a small act of kindness and support can make a significant difference for everyone involved. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta, in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. In Spain, there appears to be some disagreement about the total amount of minimum income recipients and how many of those people are immigrants, a hot-button political topic. Claims circling on social media indicate nearly 97% of Spain's minimum income recipients are immigrants. However, official data shows 82.4% are Spanish nationals. Exaggerated claims about immigrant populations in Amsterdam, Brussels, and London have been debunked. For example, only 37% of Amsterdam's population was born outside of the Netherlands. These discrepancies could fuel public fear and influence voter opinion, with many Europeans dissatisfied with the EU's migration policy and calling for stronger border controls. Portugal has ended a policy allowing foreigners to enter and apply for residence permits later, and several Irish parties oppose the government's liberal migration policy. This follows the EU's new pact on migration and asylum, aiming to ensure fair distribution of migrants amongst member states. A recent investigation has highlighted significant health risks from lead contamination in the UK. The contamination mainly comes from abandoned metal mines, especially in Wales, where harmful lead levels have been found in local produce. A parliamentary inquiry has been launched after a study revealed dangerous lead levels in eggs from farms near old mines, posing severe risks to children as well. Farmers have reported livestock suffering from lead poisoning, with one farmer's soil containing lead levels more than 10 times the U.S. acceptable threshold, causing severe fertility issues in his sheep. Following floods in mid-Wales, contaminated sediments resulted in cattle deaths, raising fears about lead entering the human food chain. Recent tests revealed some drinking water in rural Wales surpasses legal lead limits, raising alarm about the area's environmental health. The UK government faces increasing pressure to address this widespread contamination. The Marseille Court of Appeal has ruled against the French government after they failed to find an alternative site for a solar project that threatened local biodiversity. This decision halted their current work and declared the site illegal, empowering activists who had previously faced legal challenges. The judgment may be contested at a higher court, but for now, the focus remains on ecological restoration and holding the state responsible. The company behind the project insists their operations will continue despite this ruling. Local environmentalists remain vigilant against other similar projects, particularly concerned about large-scale solar developments damaging the natural habitat and cultural heritage of the region. The ongoing debate touches on broader questions of energy use and the preservation of biodiversity. Germany's electric vehicle or EV industry faces significant challenges, with a growing number of consumers expressing regret over their purchase or lease of EVs. Rising electricity costs are a major factor causing dissatisfaction amongst e-car owners. An increasing segment of the German population is now less inclined to consider buying electric vehicles. While Germany traditionally has been an export powerhouse for cars, including EVs, recent trends indicate a shift. A considerable number of newly registered electric cars have been sold abroad rather than staying on German roads. Although EV sales surged last year, the ending of various subsidies has led to a drop in sales this year. This notable decline in domestic EV sales is casting doubt on achieving long-term targets for electric vehicle usage in Germany. In the U.S., the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, has temporarily lifted its ban on Juul e-cigarettes, announcing that the products are under review again. The company had been ordered to stop sales in 2022, but products remained available due to an appeal. Despite financial struggles, the brand retained its position as a leading e-cigarette maker. Concerns continue as e-cigarette usage amongst high school students peaked at nearly 28% in 2019 and increased by almost 50% from early 2020 to late 2022. The FDA's latest decision has been appreciated by the company, which is eager for a process to pursue marketing authorization. However, the initial ban has already caused significant financial disruption, necessitating a bailout from major investors. A significant recall of more than 1.2 million rechargeable lights has been issued in the U.S. and Canada following a consumer death. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission reported Good Earth Lighting's light bars have batteries that can overheat, potentially causing fires. One death and another injury related to smoke inhalation have been reported. 9 other overheating incidents have also been noted, with 6 resulting in fires and property damage. Good Earth Lighting conducted a voluntary recall in January, removing the lights from sale. The recalled products were sold at major retailers like Lowe's, Ace Hardware, and online platforms like Amazon between October of 2017 and January of 2024. Consumers are advised to stop using the lights immediately. Good Earth Lighting is providing free replacement bars and offering details on safe disposal and registration on their website. Google has announced it will delete users' location data from its servers a year after pledging to reduce stored personal data. The timeline feature, which records travel history, will now save data locally on users' devices instead of on Google's servers. Users have until December 1st to save their old journeys, otherwise the data will be deleted forever. The company has also shortened the default time for storing location history from 18 months to 3 months. Google says the changes are part of its commitment to user privacy, highlighting that location data is never sold to advertisers. The decision follows increased scrutiny and pressure for Google to help users protect their location privacy, especially in light of aggressive law enforcement actions that used stored location data for dragnet surveillance. Apple has announced plans to fix a long-standing bug in its parental controls. This bug has allowed children to bypass restrictions and view adult content online. The issue involves entering a specific phrase into the Safari browser to disable the screen time controls, potentially giving unsupervised children full access to the internet. Despite being reported 2 years ago, the bug has remained unresolved. Many parents feel betrayed, with some expressing frustration over screen time's long-standing issues, as well as those loopholes. Initially launched in 2018 to help both parents monitor children's device usage and promote mindful usage amongst adults, screen time has become essential for parents. However, Apple's restriction of third-party parental control apps in 2019 has led to claims the company lacks competition, contributing to its slow response to issues. The Australian government is introducing legislation to making creating and sharing deep fake pornographic images without consent a criminal offense. Deep fake technology, often fueled by artificial intelligence, overwhelmingly targets women and girls. The new laws propose up to 7 years of imprisonment for offenders. Experts highlight while AI contributes to the problem, it can also help detect and deter deep fake content. Australia's legislation will focus on adult deep fake content, with child abuse material governed by separate laws. The initiative is part of broader efforts to combat violence against women and address technology's role in spreading harmful attitudes. The British Army's activities in Kenya are under scrutiny following multiple complaints and incidents involving local residents. The Army conducts infantry exercises in Kenya with up to 6 battalions participating annually. Residents have demanded compensation and support, citing accidents, health issues, and environmental damage allegedly caused by the British soldiers. Amongst the complaints is an alleged hit-and-run incident involving a British Army truck and a fire during a training exercise that destroyed more than 12,000 acres of land. The fire led to serious health issues, loss of life, and increased wildlife attacks. Legal action involving more than 7,000 people is underway due to the fire's aftermath. Allegations of a cover-up in the 2012 death of a young woman, reportedly involving British soldiers, have fueled further investigation. The UK High Commission and the British Army have expressed willingness to cooperate with this inquiry. The construction of a large refinery and fertilizer plant in Nigeria has led to significant displacement and community disruption since 2017. Residents evicted from their homes now live on much smaller plots and face considerable hardships as traditional sources like livelihood, like farming and fishing, have vanished. The refinery, producing 650,000 barrels of petroleum daily, aims to fulfill Nigeria's energy needs and support regional trade. However, environmental and health concerns are growing, with increased risks of serious diseases like cancer for those living nearby. Regulatory bodies have begun to take air, soil, and water samples to assess the impact. The results are pending. Despite the promise of new jobs and economic benefits, many community members are struggling to provide for their families. The refinery and government officials have provided limited responses to these concerns. The housing crisis in South Africa has reached critical levels and continues to impact millions. Government data shows a drastic drop in the construction of fully subsidized houses during the past 3 decades, largely due to budget cuts and the COVID-19 pandemic. In Cape Town, residents express frustration over empty promises as spatial segregation remains entrenched. Many are living in inadequate conditions, with some even resorting to occupying abandoned buildings. Inner city areas remain predominantly occupied by wealthier, mainly white residents, while Black and colored populations live in overcrowded informal settlements on the outskirts, spending significant portions of their income on transportation. Advocacy groups are pushing for the use of public land for social housing to combat these issues, though tensions and threats of eviction persist. Homelessness is surging in major cities in Argentina due to the new government's stringent economic reforms that reduce pensions, cut state salaries, and raise rental prices. The austerity measures have particularly impacted pensioners and the working class, pushing many to seek help from charities. Organizations distributing aid report a rise in demand, not only from the homeless, but also from those who still have homes but can't afford basic necessities. The government has frozen aid to soup kitchens, claiming a need to cleanse the social welfare system of corruption, but this has worsened the conditions for many. Utility bills have skyrocketed, forcing people to choose between heating and eating amid almost 300% annual inflation. Studies indicate that nearly 55.5% of the population lived in poverty in the first quarter, with 18% of households unable to meet basic food and energy needs. Turkey has been identified as the leading jailer in Europe for 2022, with the highest incarceration rate amongst European countries. The country's prison population has been increasing since the failed coup of 2016, with many individuals sentenced under anti-terrorism laws. Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Moldova also have high incarceration levels, while Finland, the Netherlands, and Germany report the lowest rates. The total number of inmates in European jails exceeds 1 million, showing an increase compared to previous years. Moldova, North Macedonia, Cyprus, and Azerbaijan are amongst the countries with notable year-on-year rises in their prison populations. The overall growth in incarceration could either reflect a post-pandemic rebound or indicate a more fundamental change. Reports suggest more than half of the offenses leading to imprisonment in Europe are related to drugs and violence. Government-enforced travel restrictions in China are tightening, impacting millions of individuals employed in non-private and public sectors. According to statistics for 2022, around 167 million people working in urban agencies face constraints on international travel. Initially introduced in 1999 to prevent officials from fleeing abroad with embezzled funds, the rules have expanded during the years. Recently, disciplinary regulations made altering approved travel plans a punishable offense. The latest regulations apply stringent measures on personnel with confidential access, reflecting heightened government insecurity. Experts argue this move further isolates Chinese citizens, keeping them within ideal boundaries and reducing international human connections. Indonesian workers are protesting a new compulsory housing savings program. The program mandates those earning at least minimum wage contribute 2.5% of their monthly income, with employers adding another 0.5%. The policy, previously applied only to full-time government workers, now extends to more employees, allowing access to funds for property purchases or withdraw at retirement age. Critics argue the program reflects the government's inability to provide adequate housing and will penalize the working class, especially with potential penalties for noncompliance. Concerns over transparency and the rising cost of living fuel the unrest, with many doubting the program's benefits and transparency. The government claims the program will multiply the value of savings and help fund national development projects, but many workers remain skeptical, recalling past issues with similar plans. The Supreme Court of Pakistan has issued notices to 34 news channels for airing press conferences critical of the judiciary. The channels must respond within 2 weeks. This comes as courts face mounting public scrutiny amidst Pakistan's political instability. The Islamabad High Court clarified that media reporting on court proceedings is permitted but must remain responsible. Judges have complained of interference by intelligence agencies, and there have been personal attacks against members of the judiciary. Journalists are also under increasing attacks. Recently, 3 media persons were assaulted in separate incidents, prompting calls urging the government to take action. So far in 2024, 5 journalists have been killed, making Pakistan a dangerous country for media professionals. We have an exciting new announcement. We have launched a new global TV service specifically for the UNN community. Thousands of live TV channels, 60,000 movies on demand, over 30 languages, and live sports from around the globe. Between all the separate streaming services and cable for live TV and sports packages, it could cost well over $200 a month. But now with United TV, you can have it all for only $15.99 a month. Go to unitedtv.org and check it out. Get so much more for so much less. And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. The deep state's new moon activities yielded no results yesterday as militaries and operatives look for other options. The Black Sun attempts to revive the Nazi Hydra project. And how does it relate to Project Paperclip? The financial elite began selling large amounts of stock this week, and here's why. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hello, Kim. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I made it. A little bit late, but I made it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to get a little bit more on the fallout from yesterday's new moon. I have not gotten a complete assessment of, well, we know a few things. Number one, we know that there was obviously plans for them to regain something on the new moon. We're not sure what that is just yet, but whatever it is, they didn't get it.
Okay.
There were supposed to be some decisions made today based on a failure after the new moon. And right now, as it stands, the meeting started probably about 3 hours ago. There's a lot of comparing of information. This is from the group that didn't answer the phone, what we're calling the rebel group.
Okay.
Lots of military are involved, not just U.S., but worldwide. And they appear to just be comparing information, comparing notes, things that they've compiled over the last few days, events that have happened and have not happened based on information being told to them. So I don't have a firm commitment one way or another as to which direction they're going to go in from here on out. So this could be a positive move for us. You know, depending on what's going to happen in these meetings today. I don't know how long they're going to go on. What it appears is this is going to be another, 3 days of meetings, probably over the weekend, just like last weekend.
Right.
But one thing we know for sure is the Trump operatives are not invited. That's one thing we know for sure.
Did they get kicked out? Or
yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, they were made to feel extremely uncomfortable based on information they found out as to where they were supposed to be getting their contracts from. Calls escalated coming in from all their Middle Eastern partners. A lot of falsehoods were found. A lot of money disappeared. A lot of angry people in the Gulf Cooperation Council. Members from the Gulf Cooperation Council members. So I don't see them participating in any of this. However, they are not expecting a result of their actions until Sunday. That's what the Trump operatives believe. They believe that they have within 3 days of the new moon to achieve whatever task they're going to achieve. So they still have hope that they're going to be able to swoop back in and take control.
And this is for them to go it alone, which is what we talked about before,
yes,
right?
This is the Go It Alone program.
Yeah.
Some other interesting things as far as them going it alone, which really isn't going it alone. It's more like trying to have a continuous situation where they get something for nothing.
Okay.
So events that have taken place by this same group and other SSP or Secret Space Program operatives have been an attempt to use a technique called screen scraping, which is where they take the information off a computer screen. It's similar to cloning a website, but they tried to screen scrape the global repository. They have tried to install new currencies, none of which has worked. So it looks like they're just kind of trying to steal. I think they want to be me.
I'm sure they do.
That's what it looks like. It looks like they're trying to take everything that we have, everything that we've built, in order to take the position. Screen scraping or cloning doesn't help them any because there are no allocation numbers to the funds when you do that. Again, it looks like a very haphazard attempt to try to do something with zero end results. Some other things that have happened over the last couple of days with these people, attempts to use old system keys, attempt to use old Marduk remaining Trojan horses, that kind of stuff, into a system we're no longer using, those kinds of things. So it's just a bunch of hacking, really. Nothing to speak of as far as actual movement on their side of it. There was another situation that happened where Trump has a team of lawyers, well, whatever that is, the Trump organization, people playing the role of Trump, their lawyers made a phone call to us and wanted me to cease and desist on putting out any negative information on Trump.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
So I told them they needed to legally serve me, is what I said, because if they legally serve me, then I'll have the right to go into court with all my proof of everything we're saying. Yeah, including recorded conversations with the kids saying that their father died back in January. Lots of things we have on our side that would be submitted as evidence. They did back down when we said that. Not only that, there's a lot of stuff that's been acquired by Tom Melville and the rest of us over the years, conversations, proof, documentation about transference of funds.
Yeah.
We have actually from government departments, the movement of that money to, let's just say, non-friendly people of the United States, to include, but not limited to, Kim Jong-un of North Korea.
Oh, lovely.
Oh yes. The plot thickens. So that was probably not a wise phone call, and it seemed like they figured that out on that phone call fairly quickly. So that's kind of where that situation is at. I'm hoping I'll have some more information, but I'm not anticipating having any conclusive information from these folks until probably Sunday.
And from these folks, you're still talking about the lawyers?
No, nah. You'll never get any information on those people worth anything. They're lawyers. No offense if you're watching this and you're a lawyer, but they're lawyers. Their job is to, for free, lately, except for what they get from the sale of Trump bucks and Trump coins and Trump jackets and Trump this and Trump that, and what portion of the campaign funds that they used to get, which they don't have anymore. They're really doing this basically for free, based on what their normal fees are. Mm-hmm. So if they want to continue to do that, that's on them. Just stay in your lane. I'll stay in mine, and we will part friends. As far as the people I'm referring to are the groups of militaries that are meeting, groups of operatives that are meeting, discussing past operations, things like that, and how to move forward. So I don't anticipate having the end result of these meetings until probably Sunday, honestly. Mm-hmm. So, right now it's kind of slow and go. I've been watching it. Some of them are going on here locally. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Next, I had a very interesting conversation day before, mm-hmm. Wednesday, mm-hmm. With someone I haven't spoke to in over 10 years. Remember I told you there were people calling me out of the woodwork? Yeah. And so this is a person I had actually met in person. And this person was told to call me and revive the communications with no specific instructions. But we had it during the phone call. I know that this person was getting instructions from somebody else, things to ask, what to say. So I took it as an opportunity to, we exchanged pleasantries, that type of thing. And I took it as an opportunity to discuss a few things, because one of the things he brought up was that he wanted to know what we could do together. How could we work together? And I explained working together with these people is not going to work out for me.
Who were these people, Kim? Like, who was he representing? Did he say?
The Order of the Black Sun, what's left of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, he was from that side. He used to do some work for the covens, that type of thing. And I knew that when I met him. Weirdest conversation for me 10 years ago, because remember, 10 years ago, I'm still learning. I'm still learning a lot about that the world isn't run the way I thought it was. The elites are not the elites I thought they were. And it's been a process for me, just as much as it's been a process for all of you. There's no handbook that comes. No one sits you down and tells you all about their organization and how they do everything.
Sure.
10 years ago, I was probably a few years in of still having conversations with Marduk, because the final conversations we had were in August of 2016. So that was not quite 10 years ago. So it's been a process. So, I've changed a lot since we first talked. And I think that was kind of surprising to this person. And he wanted to know what we could do together. And I had a conversation about all the things that we've quote unquote done together in the last several years, meaning all of their operatives, all of their people, money sent to governments, those types of things. And we got nothing. No. And by we, I'm not just talking about us and our administrative fees. I'm talking about the people. We got opposite of nothing. Matter of fact, we got worse than nothing in the last several years. So I didn't quite understand. Then he told me, he said, well, they want you to give them everything and you to get nothing.
How is that a negotiation?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they thought they were going to do some mind moogie-foogie on me or something. I'm not sure, but
they're crazy.
Yeah, they're crazy. So I explained that the system was going to run 100 years after I'm gone in the same fashion. I said by then it will completely have destroyed everything that you have anyway, all on its own, with or without me.
Yeah.
And I also explained that, so doing anything to me, because, then they go into the, well, you should be safe, you should stay safe, kind of conversations. And yeah. So they played a little game. We had some flyovers, helicopters, that kind of thing that were happening at the same time I'm having this conversation, and going round and round the house, over the house. And I'm like, I said, oh, and he goes, well, you better get inside. You better stay safe. And I said, well, why would I care about doing that? This is a regular occurrence here every single day. I said, this happens all the time. And so, I think he was a little bit surprised.
Justin, how steadfast you were and how you weren't fazed by some of their antics.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I lost you there for a second.
Oh, no, I was just saying, were they surprised just by how steadfast you were and the fact that you weren't, surprised by their antics?
Well, it seemed that way a little bit.
Yeah.
They've also, there was also a number of lies. He started talking about the war in Gaza and all the people that have been hurt. And I said, well, how many people have been hurt in the other war that's going on right now? How many people have you lost on your side? And he said, well, you can count on one hand, how many people we've lost. And I said, well, let me give you the following locations. And I went around the world and I gave, Mount Kilimanjaro, Tanzania, most recently Ghana, Croatia, Russia, Mount Denali in Alaska, and, Tucumcari, New Mexico, and I under Georgetown in Washington, D.C., and the Atlanta airport, and so Berlin, so I started going around to all the locations where we found their people. Mm-hmm. And I said, I mentioned about Montenegro, which I told you about on the news, and then the next guy came in a few months later and went back to Montenegro, and he also died just like the others that came before him. And so I said to him, and I said, well, by counting on one hand, I've met you in person. And I said, I have 5 fingers on my hand, and you did not have 1 million or 10 million fingers on on your hand. So I don't think that's entirely true. But as I went through all of these locations, I picked several locations that I had deemed very bad things about.
Okay.
So, I stressed a few locations, and then I said things like, oh, the Atlanta airport in Georgia. Wow, that was a really bad place. Whew, lots of things happened there. And then I mentioned about Croatia, and I said, oh, Croatia. Wow, that was a huge facility there. And then I talked about Berlin, and then, and then I'd throw in about 10 or 15 different locations in between.
Mm-hmm.
So true to form, I love these people. I do. Because they took the locations that I stressed, and that's immediately where they went within 24 hours of me saying it. So what do you think happened? Thank you so much for corralling in one location or 5 locations that I picked, because now you have less. There's less of you.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased with the conversation from that aspect. There were a few other things that came out of the conversation as well. He mentioned to me that a lot of the elite people that you see in the news, like Warren Buffett and Zuckerberg and, all of these large, I guess you would say, financial people we see in the news that are selling a lot of their stock. He said there's a big sell-off going on right now. And he said that the reason why this is happening is because they plan to shut down the financial system on the 1st of August. And I said, do you think they have the capacity to shut down the financial system by the 1st of August? And he said, well, I don't know. Let's see. They control an awful lot. I said, do they? And I reminded him of something that happened a little over a decade ago as well. Now, there was a point in time where about a decade ago, before I started talking to all of you on any channel, for that matter, there was a lot of people, elite people, let's call them, in the U.S. that were moving to or buying properties in Macau. And if you don't know where Macau is, it's a small island near off the coast of China, owned by China.
Yeah.
Part of China. And Macau is known for its gambling and a lot of things. It's kind of like Las Vegas.
Yeah, we ran the story. I think it was on Wednesday. We were talking about Macau. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at one point in time, people like Sheldon Adelson and a lot of large people that in the financial sector were buying homes over there with plans to move over there. And I actually heard it from Sheldon Adelson's mouth back in about 2013 that they were planning on crashing the financial system and of the United States and moving all of the power over to China, which we've been talking about the whole time.
Sure.
This is the first time I had heard it then. And then I had heard it a few months later from Rothschild. So eventually what happened is they realized that the United States was not going to crash, or at least not at that time, and nobody ended up moving, and it's now been 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the same situation that I saw then, I reminded this person, is the same thing that's going to happen now. I explained that there's not going to be a crash of the financial system. There'll be a transition, but not a crash. And all of them will have sold off all their stock, and then nothing will have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So is there going to be a sell-off? Well, yeah, it looks like there's going to be.
Yeah.
There is. It's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
Will they yield anything from it? I highly doubt it. In part, are they selling a lot of these stocks off because these companies that are selling all of their stocks are predominantly run by DARPA, SSP, and the deep state, and they're trying to collect some money to continue to run operations until they can figure out what to do, or buy time until the Lionsgate in August till they can figure out what to do, hoping that something is going to change. Well, I can assure you that nothing is going to change. Will they collect enough money to keep running? For as long as they can hold on to it, and we'll just leave it at that. But I just see the same thing repeating. It's like a pattern with these people. When they think that they have it, they think they have the ability to crash the United States, which has absolutely been their plan ever since I can remember, when I was started getting into this and was pretty green, but yet they continuously fail. So again, same as the plan that they had for the Middle East, is exactly the same, well, different operations, of course, but it's exactly the same as the plans they have for the United States. They plan on planting a ghost flag here in the U.S., which they already have, essentially, and then transferring power over to China or dividing it up into 7 sectors.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter which one of the plans that they're trying to execute on that they were given to by ultimately Marduk. Without Marduk, you will never finish your plans. And I know that because the position that being held is the same level of position that I now hold. However, we do not have the same mindset, and I have more control over Alpha than he ever had.
Mm-hmm.
He had limited access to Alpha, probably more access to Omega at the time, and, based on which cards he was playing. Because he did have an agreement with the Council of Nine, and he alleged that he was neutral, but that's really not the case because, see, what happens is if you want to do something that is in alignment with Alpha, you have to stay in alignment with Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do something that is in alignment with Omega, then you have to stay within Omega. Now, Marduk often operated in the gray. So therefore, he had limited access to Alpha to end up transferring money through to Omega to then do what he wanted to do, claiming, we're in a dark age and using all of these loopholes, so to speak, in his covenants that he had. But these people that are walking on the ground are never going to be able to execute on any of those plans because that being is not here anymore. I have chosen to operate solely in Alpha, which not anymore. Now it's the light system. We've transferred it over. But all this whole time I've been operating in Alpha.
Right.
I didn't care about operating Omega. I could have. I have done other things to Omega and Chronos so that Alpha at the time would be the only operating system. But there was too much intertwining, so I ended up creating the light system, which has been going well as far as integration is concerned. So, but these people I know for sure will never finish any of those plans. They are unfinished. You don't have the last few pages of the playbook, so to speak, and they're going to run around until the end of days trying to do this, or until every single bit of power that they have on this planet goes broke and disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Now, governments do have an opportunity to walk away from them and work on this side. But again, the operating systems that we have for quantum systems on our side are completely different. We don't operate the same way. We can't operate the same way. And if they want allocations and allocation numbers, screen scraping is not going to give it to you. Right. I figured that out a long time ago with the deal we did with Santander Bank in Mexico. So they need to figure out what they're going to do. And that's
meaning the governments, Kim? The governments have to figure out what they're going to do?
Yeah, and that's what the meetings seem to be about. It seems to be more military oriented at the moment.
And does the military represent the government in this sense, or no?
Well, at this moment, so if I was going to, and I'll just give you some hypotheticals here.
Okay.
If I said that I was going to keep governments running right now, and I was trying to devise an operation with which to do so, would I try to take over the political sector? which has multiple different parties, multiple different operatives reporting to different groups of people all over the world. You never know what you're going to get. Could you get them all swinging the same bat? That's a lot of operatives, because each one of those people that you see in Congress or the House or, even the White House, you're talking about hundreds of people. I mean, that's not just one person.
Right.
Or, and not only that, everybody has their own thoughts, feelings, and opinions about themselves, including the actors on TV that you know as politicians. Or the global military order has been one order since the beginning of having military forces. So it's been hundreds of years, it's been this way. They know rank and file very well. People do not fall out of line down the food chain. I could see it being a beneficial move, hypothetically speaking, if there was the right leadership in place. Utilizing possible global martial law to get it done.
Which probably isn't the current leadership, I'm assuming. The current, okay.
No, each one would have a group of folks that would have to be installed from our side that would basically become the parents. Not the parents as we know them, they're going to become moms and dads to the organizations, and be 100% responsible, paid very well, but 100% responsible for every single thing that happens in each respective country.
Okay.
So is that a possibility? I could see it being more of a possibility than trying to corral, a bunch of politicians. Sonny, you've had sleepover parties with the kids, I'm sure. And, you're just trying to corral 20 screaming, 9-year-old girls. And that's a lot. And
that is a lot.
And these people are probably very similar, let's just say. Now you're talking thousands of them, right? When you're looking worldwide. And none of them have ever done the right thing. So, just like when you have a sleepover party, there's always that kid, the one. And
that ruins it for everyone.
That ruins it for everyone. Their parents let them do anything they want to do, not a whole lot of supervision. And, they're trying to set the house on fire at 2:00 in the morning or something. There's always that kid. And I can definitely see that these people have just been running around doing whatever they wanted for a long period of time. And they don't want it to change. And for a lot of them, just like I see, the Trump operatives, maybe they're just too old to change. They're just going to keep running the same operations that they ran before when they had backing.
Yeah.
And that backing's not there anymore. So they keep running it. And then they're like, wait for it. It happened 4 other times in 4 other countries when we tried to crash those countries. You hear some of these people talking like, I was there when the Soviet Union, USSR crashed. And that was all a deal behind the scenes. I mean, that was a given and a part of a 100-year plan. This was not a whim. These operatives did not create the plan. You were just a small compartmentalized portion of that plan, and trust me, the Russians came out fat and happy. I know about the $11 trillion in Andorra, in Europe, and, that was not created by them.
How, Kim, does the GIA play into this, if at all?
Well, the GIA has high clearance, and we can have as high of a clearance as we want because we control that clearance system. So having clearance above governments worldwide and above militaries and above NATO is beneficial to people, and that I call the new parents of these organizations.
Right.
Because it's all about rank and file, especially when you're talking about militaries in the world. But it's also to their benefit too, because you're always going to have a few crazy SSP operatives here and there come out of the woodwork and think they're going to run things, just like, the Trump organization. You're always going to have some black nobility people somewhere down the food chain, generation after generation after generation, that are probably going to say, well, it's my birthright, I deserve to run the world and all of this stuff.
Sure.
And then they're going to try to come in and take over. But you need that shield, right now. You need something. If that's going to continue, there's no way they're going to make it without that shield.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion, because I've seen things for the last several years bounce back and forth. There's a few good people here, a few good people there, and then they get shut down. Wait until the new moon, the full moon, the alignment, the solstice, whatever day ending in Y, the parade of planets, whatever it is. And they have to.
Yeah. So
by creating something like that, I could see it actually working. If not, then I don't see it ever working.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the conversations that are being held, down the street and around the world, actually, starting this morning at about 8:30 my time. So we're only a couple of hours into that right now. Other things that the order has done in the last few days, they tried to revive the Nazi Hydra program. Have you ever heard of the Hydra program?
Hydra, like water? That's Hydra?
Yes.
Yes. No, I haven't heard of it.
Hydra.
Okay.
The Nazi Hydra program was the actual program that was way above Project Paperclip's head. And they were the original scientists that participated with others in programs to genetically modify humans, to create the perfect human, to orchestrate certain things that would be to their benefit as far as disease, vaccines, all of these kind of things. Hybrids, the creation of hybrid humans, which some of the bloodlines are. So this was all, I would say, under the umbrella of the Hydra program. Okay. And Project Paperclip, would have been a part of that, but I would say down the ranks a bit. They wouldn't have had all the information that Hydra had.
Okay.
Hydra did work closely with the SSP in some cases, and the ACIO in other cases. They did a lot of work in Pine Gap, Australia. They did a lot of work in Germany and Berlin, also in Croatia, which is kind of why I mentioned some of those areas on the phone, wink, wink, to this person. And because I wanted to see if there was anybody left. So chances, as chance may have it, there was, and there is no longer. So
yeah.
They were working quite a bit yesterday, all night, last night, as a matter of fact, due to the new moon. And I'm not seeing a whole lot today. It's kind of quiet. They've tried to install some currencies, that kind of thing, not getting anywhere. But I don't have the full results yet. So, and it's not about what we're doing per se, but you always have to keep good tabs on what's going on out in the world, what they're doing, because they could cause some damage. They have access to media groups, worldwide. They are part of the agencies. As you know, journalists on the higher end often equal agency people in every country. So we need to make sure that they're not doing anything that's going to be extremely harmful to humans at this moment in time. They have tried to run some programs, through a new type of Wi-Fi called Li-Fi. If you've ever heard of it, you can look it up. And failed. They tried to then run some 5G programs and failed. They tried to run some frequency programs and failed. They tried to utilize old operating systems for biowarfare and cancer biowarfare in the last 24, 48 hours and failed. But a lot of that was tied to the Hydra program. So it was good. It was very fruitful. The operations were very fruitful. The conversation lasted a couple of hours and was very fruitful. from our standpoint. So positive thing for humans. You got to figure out what they've got left. Are there any stashes anywhere?
Yeah.
Is there anything we missed?
Right.
Not to say that, we're not still seeing chemtrails, that kind of things, and things that you feel are dangerous. Things I feel are dangerous are operating systems that control cancer.
Yeah.
And, that type of thing. I'm seeing if those things are dangerous. Some of the other bacterias, funguses, and other things they were trying to ramp up, I also see as dangerous. These, I'm not saying it's not uncomfortable, and I'm not saying that, it doesn't cause us issues, but there are longer term issues that were planned for these things that are my main concern. Once you consume this item, whether it's by inhaling it from the air or from the food, can they operate that within your person to cause cellular death in some way, shape, or form? And that's my main concern.
And what's the point of all this? Just to regain control over humanity? Do they feel like they're losing control of us?
Well, based on the conversations that I heard that took place after this phone call, things that they feel that they are entitled to control the world because they are superior humans. They are of a superior bloodline. They also remind me of silver spoon babies that have never had to run the family business or figured out where money came from, but mommy and daddy always took care of it. Right. And I can clearly tell that they have never completely run an operation from beginning to end, because the beginning and the end was always given at the highest level on down. Without those orders and instructions, they have high hopes of doing something, but have very poor execution. Mm-hmm. That's what I see. What would they like? They would like world domination. They would like to run the world. They would like to be the only government of the world. They feel they are entitled to do that. Some of these Trump operatives that are communicating with these people have been promised the North American sector, that they would be the kings of North America.
It's just so weird. It's like, even if they were to achieve that, what are you going to do with that? Like, how much land do you need? What does that do? Like, you would have to have such a huge ego to get any benefit out of that. It does not compute with me why someone would even want that.
Well,
I know.
And is it feasible and is it viable? What it looks like to me, if you go back throughout history, human history, any kind of dictator doesn't last long. I mean, mm-hmm. Dictators usually last some maximum 75, 80 years. Mm-hmm. And this is a dictatorship. The only reason why the order has successfully been, let's just say, ruling the world for thousands of years behind the scenes is because, number one, they had alien technology that the rest of us knew nothing about.
Right.
Number two, they had alien help with beings that have been around for thousands of years, that know the secrets of the universe, that know how this technology works, and were in support of them.
Right.
Next, there was no real opposition before, that ever would dare go against the aliens, or the others that were running this planet. So I can see how they got into that position and stayed into that position as mm-hmm. long as they adhered to whatever they said. You got money, eventually it was money. Before that it was gold, and, you would become the king of the Banana Republic, and that's who you became, and you became very powerful and whatnot. So, I understand what they want, but I also understand the backing just simply is not there. Mm-hmm. We could all stand up right now and we can say every single one of us watching this is going to run the Boston Marathon. Mm-hmm. If you've heard of it, it's It's a pretty famous marathon that happens every year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, say that marathon, I think it's on Labor Day or something like that, around then. And if I recall, so don't shoot me if I got the date wrong, but I think it's around Labor Day. It's on a holiday weekend every year. And anyway, now we all decide we're going to get up and we're going to run this same marathon. It doesn't have to be the one that's on TV. We're going to do it tomorrow. Now you take a look at yourself. Are you capable of running 26 kilometers, or, you know, you didn't train for it? We're not ready, right? We're not ready to do that. Most people, I'm not going to say there's not people watching this that wouldn't be ready to do that right now. Or we all decide we're going to climb Mount Everest and we're leaving tomorrow. Pack your bags. Are you physically ready to do this? Well, no, you need some training. You need to be able to breathe at that elevation. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into these types of things when people want to do something that's physically strenuous.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know for myself personally, I would not sign up to climb Mount Everest tomorrow because I know what it takes. You know, I mean, I've been an athlete most of my life. I know what it takes and how much training that takes, and that's just not a feasible, viable option.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, we're all not going to wake up tomorrow and be 18 years old. You know, we're just not. Are there technologies for that? Is it possible for you to do that to your own body? Sure. You know, you can do a lot of things, you know, not only even before, you know, all of these reconnections. You can, you know, health, diet, you know, supplements, take care of yourself, do whatever it is you do that makes you happy. Happiness is a big part of that too, by the way.
Yeah.
But these guys are trying to do all of this without any, there's no base root. How do I say it? You know, there's no backing for that. There's no backing for that statement.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just the statement of could 6 months from now or a year from now, could all of us get up and decide we're going to climb Mount Everest? Probably. You know, you could. Because you can do the training, you'll know what it takes, you have some experts that have climbed the mountain you reach out to. You know, these people don't have any experts to reach out to anymore. There's nobody left. They just want what they want. They want to plant the flag on the top of Mount Everest and say, we run the world. But with
they're like disgruntled toddlers right now. I feel like they're having a little hissy fit, you know, I want it now.
Well, it's true, but it's true. And from someone who's very strategic, you know, and pays attention to what's going on in the world, you can clearly see that as far as the operations that they are running, that they have lived in a compartmentalized world. They have thought and have been told that they were, quote unquote, responsible for the fall of the USSR, for winning of World War II if they're still around. They were told that they were responsible for transferring power from the United Kingdom over to the United States way back in the day. And none of that is actually the case. But would they believe me?
No, probably not.
No, but they could believe the key intelligence and military system. They could go in there and look at the history and all the things that were going on behind your back. They could go back through old notes in Project Looking Glass and look at those and compare the notes. I mean, facts are facts. You know, well, I know they think very highly of themselves, but the facts are the facts. Yeah. The negotiations that went on behind the scenes between Gorbachev, Rothschild, and other people above Rothschild's head were abundantly clear. He would get control of $300 trillion, which was only provided by Marduk, by the way, and he would run the entire Eastern Bloc. Man's still alive. Go ask him. But that's true. Did the Rothschilds give him the money? No, they did not. Did the Black Sun give him the money? No, they did not. Did the ex-KGB clans give him the money? No, they did not. Nope, 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 nope. It came from the person in my chair that wanted to see the empire fall for other reasons. Before that, it was the Russian Empire and Lenin and the plan, the 100-year plan that was given to Lenin. I mean, that, although it was handed through a Rothschild to him in Switzerland, that didn't mean that it was his idea, and it wasn't their idea either. Same thing goes for the Order of the Black Sun and security contracts back about 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago. That wasn't their idea. That wasn't Solomon's idea. That wasn't anybody's idea that you think it was. It wasn't even the Abraxas idea. There was a plan for you too. And I told this guy all that. You know, but plans change, things change, life changes. We all go through changes in our own lives, even personally. You change jobs, you know, get married, maybe get remarried some point in time, you know, maybe divorce, you know, your parents, you know, leave this earth, and, you know, or, you know, you go through lots of changes in your life for different reasons.
Right.
And these people just will not accept change. So what are they going to do? I don't know. I really don't. It's what everybody else is going to do that I look at. Now, could the militaries cause us problems if they don't, you know, do something? Sure. I mean, you see what's going on in Gaza right now in Israel, because they're still taking orders from the crazy people. They also are trying to convince the world that there is oil or gas or something in Antarctica now because we blew their plans for Israel. Well, is there? Well, sure. And that there was a treaty signed. See, these guys look at the surface. There was a treaty signed that no one country could own all the, you know, Antarctica and all that kind of stuff. And was that actually the case? Sure. Well, what about Admiral Byrd? Admiral Byrd, he went underground. He was having conversations with others. You know, he even wrote about it, and some of the information is available on the internet, but a great deal of it isn't. What kind of deals were really made about Earth? You know? What was he told? What was he really told? Who did he meet with? A bunch of reptiles? Yes, he did.
Really?
Oh, yes. But you don't know. You know, and oil and gas there has already been leveraged 50 times over, along with the gold that's in all those volcanoes, Mount Erbius, I think it's called. And, you know, the same thing with everything else on this planet. It is not your human right. Never has been your human right. And by you, I'm not necessarily talking about you. I'm talking about the Order of the Black Sun. I'm talking about the Rothschilds. They never had the rights. They gave away the rights to folks that were not human on both ends. And that was part of a deal that was made 250,000 years ago that we already broke. And therefore, the second we broke it is the second we claimed it. So, you know, it is meant for all the humans on Earth, and it is your God-given right to use the Earth's gold to generate source energy and essence and consciousness and all the things you need to co-create a universe. You know, to co-create an Earth together. Unfortunately, you know, these people think that gold is supposed to be, you know, a financial wealth, you know, how do I say this? For financial wealth. Because they don't know any different. And, you know, if you control a country's or a world's financial system, you need not care who makes its laws, right? That's what they've always said. They don't understand the bigger picture here. Now, their co-creator is no longer a co-creator. There's only one way to co-create now. So either you use the energy, which will not operate in the way that they want it to operate, or you don't. You don't want life force? That's fine. Life force, I'm not talking about an organization. I'm talking about the very thing that keeps you upright every single day. A multitude of things. So, their call.
Yeah.
But, why they feel like they're entitled to it had to do with an agreement that is long gone. The world has changed in 3,000 years. Everything has changed in thousands of years. 250,000 years ago, it changed again. We all had to change, adapt, and overcome. We have had to live with what they've been feeding us all these years based on agreements.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to do that anymore. So we have to clean up the mess. And these people are trying to bring it back desperately. For what purpose? We all know they killed the king. Throughout history, they don't kill the kingmaker, they kill the king, and they are not kingmakers. So, I can understand their wanting to do certain things. I mean, I'm sure we would love to all take a selfie on the top of Mount Everest saying we did it. But that takes work, takes time, it takes effort, it takes backing, it takes mentors, it takes, a good guide. It takes a lot of things to get up to the top of that mountain, and it is an accomplishment. These people have none of those things. They're trying to run up a mountain with no legs. So that's pretty much where things are at. I'm hoping that, these people's conversations are not sidelined again this weekend. I mean, I'm hoping that doesn't take place.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be no contracts with 100% certainty coming from Trump operatives and their supporters. By supporters, I'm not talking about voters.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's not a whole left to the Hydra program of the Nazis anymore. I'm sure of that. And I'm sure global headquarters isn't going to gain back any access that they had before. I'm sure of that. So I don't anticipate it being a rough weekend. I anticipate it being a weekend full of conversations amongst a bunch of other people. I don't see them getting to the stage where they want to talk to me yet. So for me, I've got other work to do, light system work, that kind of stuff. So I've done my other jobs and this job very well all at the same time. But there's and like I said, that's going well. Understanding some of these programs is positive, for us as we go forward, so we can figure out different frequencies and other ways to fix it. So there was some more information we acquired from the Hydra program during our seizure there in Berlin, and also in Croatia. So I'm glad we got that information.
Mm-hmm.
And God, it's bad. Well,
yeah, you got to elaborate, Kim.
I know.
You got to say more, not just, boy, it's bad.
I know. I'm trying to think about how to say this.
Okay.
If you could only see yourself in a former life, if you could see yourself the way you physically looked 3 million years ago, because we've been going through this soul cycle program, and your physical vessel at that time, and maybe that's something, a little homework you could do. Maybe as you're reaching out to, some people call it their higher self or source or however, God, however you say those things, maybe ask what you looked like before. Ask what you looked like in different lifetimes before, maybe even before you came to Earth, and take a look at your vessel. You'll be shocked. We are so much shorter. We do not have the physical capacity that we had before. There wasn't a degeneration program. You pretty much, maybe you started out as a baby, you grew up, that kind of thing. But once you hit a certain age, it's like, that's it. You stop growing taller, you stop, and you have all the physical capabilities as an adult. We also did not have to procreate in the same way we as humans procreate currently.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to have an additional family member, you created an additional family member.
Like manifestation, you mean?
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ways of creating out of love
Mm-hmm.
and with love. And once you understand Source's love, you know, and I do hope, you know, when you have some time to continue to look into the work of Walter Russell, because, you know, it's too much for news broadcasts. But once you really truly understand what love is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just, yes, you can love another human being, that kind of thing. Of course, we've experienced that. Hopefully, you know, you've experienced that in your life. But it's so much bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why, even in our lessened form, it's kind of why you typically, not all the time, but there is a procreation process that takes place out of love. It doesn't have anything to do necessarily with a physical act,
Mm-hmm.
you know, although it has more to do with the choice to bring another human being into this world, however that happens, whether it's by adoption or, you know, whatever it is. It's still you, whether you know it or not, it's still you manifesting, and it's more than just manifestation. You're creating that life. You're bringing that life into your life. I don't know how to explain that to you in another way. The co-creation process that happens with or without a partner, of putting that love into the universe for that being that you don't know yet, is so strong. And you can also do that with inanimate objects, with opportunities, with all kinds of different things out of love. If nothing else, even out of self-love, you know, out of your love for your Source, for Earth, for yourself. And I'm very much looking forward to never seeing another one of these programs, never looking at some of these scientific papers. God.
Yeah.
But his work actually talks a lot about we're all one, you know, we're all part of the same being. It's like saying that the cells in your fingers are not the same as the cells in your brain. You know, maybe they look a little different, you know, maybe those cells are a little different than the ones in your brain, but without the ones in your brain, your fingers don't do anything. They're still very, very much one. You're one system, so to speak, just like, you know, eventually even yourselves with your families, you become one household. You know, women go through monthly changes every month the same time, you know, eventually. Even friends that move in together have that same thing. Your household starts to become more one because you're close together.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, same thing when your kids are having a bad day, or you're, you know, and have an animal that's sick, or you're all one, because then everybody feels, you know, that pain in one way or another. You know, it's just the way that it is. And with Earth here, we've been separated so much, you know, we feel that when we're in close proximity. But what happens when the universe becomes more interconnected and there is nothing in between? You know, how are we going to feel about the people that are so many light years away? You know, or non-people, or, you know, we're going to start to know them. We're going to feel them too. Probably, yes, you will. You'll feel more about people around the world. You'll see more because you are one. It's just like with your kids. You can send your kids to Mars, and I don't care how far away they are. You know when something is wrong.
Yeah.
You know when it's not right. You know when they're hurting. You know that when they're really, really happy. You know, right now, you know, it's predominantly extreme emotions because it has to send that strong of a signal, you know, back to you.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, things on our side are moving forward. You know, as far as governments and everything, I have no idea what's going to end up, you know, this is how this is going to end up, because this is really ultimately their decision at this point. We're down to that level now. You still have people scraping and scrapping for power and hope, hoping to be global dictators on a world stage.
I feel like this is the longest deep state death scene in the world. It's like, oh my gosh.
I mean, you're talking, to really the very beginning of deep state. I mean, you can go back millions of years. As far as human history, 250,000 years. Again, 16,000 years ago, when you have orders, the beginning of the order as you know it today. 16,000 years. 3 years, don't get me wrong, is a long time. That is a long time in our lives. Predominantly because, we don't live that long in the current vessel with the state of affairs and the way they are in the world. So I understand it feels like a really long time, and every day feels like a really long time to me, but it is a process, and there's no clear way to do it any faster without creating catastrophic events.
Sure.
So I agree with you. And, money coming out to all of you isn't going to change that. It's not going to make them go away. You're not going to pay them off in any way, shape, or form. No. I mean, you'll build something wonderful and they'll crash it the next day. So everything is relative, and, you can do your part. You are more powerful than you know. You can do your part. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, how tall you are, how fit you are, it doesn't matter. You have a part to play, and you can play that part. So, like I said, if it's going to be, it's up to you. You say it at the end of every news broadcast, Sunny, if it's going to be, it's up to you. It really is.
And that's why a lot of us are here right now, especially our audience.
Yep.
That's why you're here, so.
Yeah. And
you signed up for it.
Well, and we wouldn't even have come this far if you all haven't spent time, anchoring that light, and especially during the difficult times when we really needed it to turn things around, because the more people in the world that are focused on this type of a positive outcome, meaning you're connecting to source, you're trying to bring source onto this planet. The more source light we have, the better. Essence, energy, consciousness, matter, love, creativity, those types of things. However you do that connection. Some people paint, some people meditate, some people, sing and dance. It doesn't really matter how you connect to source. Keep bringing the light in, keep manifesting a positive outcome for all of humanity in an easy transition.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I've been trying to do recently is try to do the things that I love to do, and in every situation I'm in, even if it's not going the way I want it to, I try to see the value in it. I try to learn something from it. It's kind of like taking a negative and turning it into a positive, but staying in that state of, we're here to learn, we're here to grow. There's a lot of benefits to being here at this time, even though it may seem very frustrating. You're picking up on a lot of things that I guarantee that you can use in the future. But I try to stay in that pattern as much as possible of doing things that make me happy. And even if I've got to do something that really doesn't make me happy, I try to look at it like, what is something good that can come of this? So again, just kind of spinning it a little bit, because that seems to, I don't know, make my day go easier, at least for me.
No, absolutely. And everybody's different. So even when I have to do things that I don't necessarily want to do after a long day, that kind of thing, I'll put my headphones in, I'll listen to some music and dance around the kitchen or wherever I've got to, sweeping the floor or whatever it is, or, hoovering or vacuuming, wherever you're from, whatever you call it. But I really try to do that myself. For me, that's music. For you, it might be something else. Maybe it's flowers, on your table, and maybe you go outside and pick some flowers, bring them in, and you have dinner with flowers on the table or something. I mean, for everybody, it's different. But like you said, the world is hard enough. And try to bring a little bit of joy into your life.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to change the world being sad, depressed, angry, hateful, hurtful to other people. You're not going to change the world doing that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the world situation report for Friday. Where are we? June 7th. So let's see how things turn out throughout the weekend.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll hear some positive news by Sunday. And meanwhile, you know, we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
Sounds good. All right. We look forward to Monday's report. Thank you, Kim.
Sounds great, Sunny. Thank you.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
That wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our beautiful planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can help you share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.